Good afternoon. 2 years ago, I believe, humanity entered into a whole new era. Over the last 2 years, we have made a leap, taking steps that in the past people thought would have taken several decades to happen, and we changed a lot in terms of business operations and in terms of consumption. Our life has changed as well, and we wanted to talk to our experts today whom we've invited in order to discuss two most dynamically changing areas of the advertisement business, and of course we will listen to some professionals in sociology, and we would like to talk about how the world is changing, how we are changing, and how consumer habits are changing, and what our life is going to look like in future. But let's start with a very short survey. First, allow me to introduce our distinguished guests. I would like to introduce Andrey, Patoka, CEO of Tele2, Marina Bezuglova, a social scientist, as well as CEO of Ipsos, and Dmitry Dmitriev, CEO of OMD Group. Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon. From the outset, I would like to make a short survey. As a consumer, what's preferable to you, offline or online? Let's start with you, Andrey. Well, online is very good in certain aspects, and I keep my habits that I've built over the last 2 years in terms of payment, in terms of entertainment. I've never seen as many TV series or films as I have over the last 2 years. What I need offline is human communication, peer-to-peer contacts, a business environment, working environment, which is very hard to maintain if you work remotely, because human beings are social beings, and of course offline is something we are more accustomed to. But of course online services have greatly facilitated our life, and this is something we'd like to keep. Marina? Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's very hard to choose. I like online and offline both, but it all depends on the context. You know, when the pandemic struck, I moved to the countryside, and I shifted to delivery services, mostly brands delivered in Moscow region, and I can tell you that the range of products has expanded significantly over the last 24 months. Of course, offline meetings have become less numerous. I work in an international company, and we used to have a great number of different trips. Right now these trips are over. Maybe this is our contribution to decreasing our carbon footprint, but at the same time I'm studying online because many universities across the world have remote programs. This is a great golden opportunity for each and every one of us. And right now that the world, even though it's still confined, has expanded infinitely in the virtual space. Thank you. Dmitry, well, it's very hard for me to distinguish. One of our clients, Alpha Bank, you know, has popularized through its marketing department such a term as phygital. I think I exemplify this term because since I got a mobile device in my hand, it's very hard to distinguish between online and offline. But if it's black and white, on everything that I consume rationally, and I'm asked as a consumer, then it's online. But if I want some social values, communication, then it's offline. So as far as I understand, our guests are quite unanimous in saying that they all live in a hybrid format, in a hybrid fashion. So let's have a look backwards. glance into the past.
2020 года первый почувствовал вот этот огромный
Andrey, yes, we know that telecom was one of the first industries to feel this shock through a very rapid expansion of online consumer presence, and you managed to live up to the expectations. You stood tall. Russian telecom operators have proven very resilient. So, do you see any reverse trends in the burden on the infrastructure, or have we achieved a new normal? Have we hit a new level? Yes, thank you very much for this question. We call it a new reality. Maybe new normal is something even better. Yes, when the pandemic hit, it is a very difficult challenge. But for our company, we managed to transfer all of our employees remotely. And even if 2 months prior to that, anyone had told me that it would be possible, I wouldn't have believed that. But it was possible. And remote work, of course, is based upon telecom communication. All of our colleagues across the market have demonstrated a wonderful ability to manage their resources very flexibly. Just look at what has been happening over these months. We haven't seen any serious failures with access to the internet. And it's not, even though traffic has increased significantly, everyone shifted to their home places, setting up their home offices, connecting to their home Wi-Fi networks. And these homes are everywhere. Marina said that she moved to the countryside. Before, it hadn't been something normal, and it hadn't been the placement of our subscribers that we were accustomed to. In 2020, traffic grew by 60%, in 2021 by another 35%, even though the capacity of the network is almost the same. But that is why we're trying to reinforce our networks and expand them, especially in those areas where we didn't used to have as many subscribers as we do right now. And there are different services, and you work and you need some entertainment too. People who have moved to the countryside, they work during the day, but in the evening they need this access to wireless connection in order to watch a movie, for instance. This proved to be yet another impetus to our business. And on the whole, from the point of view of telecom development, it has been a boon, and we see no reverse trend. The traffic level has been achieved, and it's keeping there, because as we have concluded, we've managed to create new habits, and since we're happy with these habits, we've migrated to a new lifestyle, and I think it's going to continue. We know about that, and that is what we call the new reality, and that's why we factor that into our new plans. Have you created new products due to this hybrid fashion we live in right now? And I think it's there to stay for a very long time, if not forever. Yes, I think that's correct, but of course our main service is connection, communication. And of course, requirements have changed, because right now our subscribers need greater traffic, and that is why, as far as you can see, our packages have changed, and they've supplanted all other types of contracts. At Tele2, we tried to create such packages that include limitless connection for messengers, for instance, for social media, many tariff plans that are intended for corporate users. We provide limitless connection for video conferencing. Just listen how many new words we've learned over these months. Zoom, for instance, that has come to supplant Skype, we were all so accustomed to. And there is a number of other platforms that are used on an everyday basis by people who work remotely. And what about the online theaters and cinemas? Yes, but as far as new products go, online cinemas in particular, we set up a number of tariff packages together with Wing, including both communication services and content you can get access to via the online cinema. And many people know that in Tele2 you can swap communication minutes for cinema minutes. If you don't need traditional services, you can swap them for new services that you didn't have access to in the past. We are now selling our services in a different fashion because, retail chains are shut down, people are less mobile, but they still need access to communication. That is why our approach to providing our services has changed. People can register remotely, they can order a SIM card, and they can also authenticate their person remotely. We have created a special key. You can authenticate your operations through the government services portal. You don't need to go to the tax service.
Нет, нельзя. Вы должны были прийти.
Well, you used to have to go to the tax service and you had to show your passport and you had to register in person. Right now you can do that through our application. We also communicate with our clients in a different fashion because we have to provide services to them, we have to respond to their queries, and the queries are very numerous, and that is why we have updated our mobile application. Right now this application is the main channel of communication with us as the provider of their services. Just imagine the number of users of our mobile application has quintupled over the last 2 years. But the thing is, this application is kind of a switchboard that helps coordinate different services. You can swap minutes for gigabytes. Inside this application, you can get a discount for equipment purchases. And it's the pandemic that has served as a trigger for these changes. When we migrated online, we had to encourage people to stay home. You remember that slogan. And that is why we helped our subscribers if they stayed at home. We gifted them 1 gigabyte of traffic for every day they didn't venture out of their apartment or house, trying to make it as comfortable as possible outside the customary office. In telecom, there are 2 approaches. Some believe that they need to go increasingly digital. They believe that they have to transform from a telecom company into a digital company, an ecosystem, and this is the direction they have to take. Another path other companies would like to take is to focus on the core telecom business, namely developing telecom services. So which option is preferable to you? This is a very good question. A bingo question, because it's key when it comes to developing our strategy. Different companies choose different paths. I believe that an ecosystem around a telecom operator is impossible without a very good basic telecom service. So that if you want your customers to believe that you can provide other services on a similar level, you have to provide a very high quality core product. And so far, you venture into related services. If you are into services, you provide services, you can market online content for cinemas, for instance, because customers will be happy to take that from us. They have trust in us. Payment system is another avenue to be pursued. We are all accustomed to contactless payment because, you know, our mobile device is linked to that. And I can go on and on. There is another line of services which we believe are very successful and can be part of this ecosystem. I'm not going to name all of them, but we've got to be very careful because if you expand them ad infinitum, you start to clash with other rivals in this ecosystem. And I cannot so far assume the responsibility to say that we can provide financial services on par with banks, for instance. But if we partner up with other participants, this can be a boon as well. And our story shows us that we can set up economic partnerships very fast, very dynamically. I cited our partnership with Wink. We have a number of partnerships with several banks and financial services. We also have a special loyalty program and also Happy Monday program. Our clients can get some pleasant gifts like, you know, a free taxi drive or free coffee or a free ice cream at Baskin-Robbins. It helps build communication with clients and it makes their life more pleasant and easier. So we are a great advocate of partnerships. We believe partnerships is where our future is. Thank you. Dmitry, let's cast our net wider. Let's not confine ourselves just to telecom services or related services. As far as we understand, this hybrid lifestyle makes it easy for us to know our customer. Because we have a great database, we have a great flow of information coming from everywhere, and yes, we have to pay with our privacy for security and for comfort. There's no choice here, no alternative, as it were. At the same time, this hybrid model changes the very notion of prime time, because a fixed working hours from, I don't know, 8 to 5 or 9 to 6, it's in the past. And there are projections that advertisement is going to grow by 60% during daytime because of these changes, because people no longer have entertainment only in the evening. Performance advertisement is also spreading very wide, and it accounts for around 30% right now. So what changes can you detect from the point of view of the ad market? You see the market in its entirety. You see the behavior of all consumers and producers. You see all the products that are being marketed. Thank you, Svetlana. To start with, I would like to speak about shifts in consumption. We have recently conducted a research by Indie Snapshot, and it has revealed that in cities with a population of over 1 million, 70% of consumers get their goods online. And the most interesting audience from 26 to 45. That accounts for 14% of consumption. Why am I saying this? The thing is, the way our people consume tells us how we can engage them, entice them with our advertisements. So far, we do not see a shift of advertisement time to its prime time to daytime. TV figures are good, they're growing, but the audience is just 55% or so. Some shifts are there, but so far it's not entirely clear. We have to have a deeper look at that. What else is happening? We see an enormous acceleration of all processes. For us to be able to adapt to these changes, and that means that companies have to change their strategies on the fly, on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, because they have a chance to gauge exactly whether the advertisement campaign has been a success or not. And very fast, too. The key to success in this hybrid world for any advertiser in any category rests on creating a portrait of your consumer, offline and both offline and digitally. The thing is, sometimes consumers can behave differently in different environments, and if you understand this difference, we will be able to tailor the goods we market to him or her. But is there a difference between such behavior? It's hard to tell. But I think, yes, there is a difference between behavior offline and online. Let's have a look at TV watching. Very often you watch TV just in the background. If you are interested in something online, I think it's more careful, more attentive. Incidentally, we are carrying out very interesting research. The second research we are conducting seeks to gauge and to understand how exactly consumers' attention is dispersed across different platforms, or on the contrary, is concentrated at different platforms. And to achieve this result, we have engaged a very prominent international company, Find Intelligence. We work together with other market participants in Russia, precisely to understand the following. What we know about the customer, what we show the customer, what kind of attention do we grab? Is it passive attention? Is it active attention? And on that depends the success of our advertisement campaign. And once we have the outcome, we will be glad to share that with the participants of the market. And interestingly, we know that advertisers like less these short clips because, people do not concentrate on a very short advertisement. Well, that varies from platform to platform, from an environment to environment. I will open a little secret to you. We have conducted part of the experiment. It depends on the environment. Let's have an Instagram. It can be very short and very efficient. Yes, it is dependent on the essence of the media itself. For TikTok users, for Instagram, everything that's about 15 seconds is, it has no worth whatsoever. But do they remember anything? The thing is, concentrated attention has gone down to 7 seconds. So you have very little time to give your main signal, your main message. But it's about working in different media, in different environments. And right now, they come together. Let's have a look at the recent VTB campaign with a QR code, with a small clip, a small trailer. I think this is a very good advertising campaign that has made full use of technological innovations. And, thanks to this QR code, you can simply download the app and start using the app in 1 minute. What else do we see? From the point of view of advertising campaigns, all advertisers now have to create sort of a super app that brings together different other apps. Well, let's not call that a super app, because a super application is a very complex construct. Well, okay then. But from the other point of view, this application allows you to collect data about how exactly these services have been used, how goods have been consumed, and based on these data, you can launch a new advertising campaign, you can make new projections, and you can tailor your messages to the right consumers, to the right customers at the right time. If you'll allow me, I would like to say a couple of words about what Andrey has shared with us. When building this single portrait of your customer online and offline, it is very important to be able to track the customer's track record, as it were, in its entirety. And that is where the collaboration comes in with other businesses, something Andrey has been talking about. This is the opportunity which we see. It would allow us to collect and analyze useful data, because data are numerous, they're everywhere.
Well, such companies as VTB, Rostelecom, Tele2 and Magnet merging into a data processing and providing consortium, or like the Alpha Group or some other banking group. Retail, banks and telecom services put together can make use of these data in their bundle and supply analytics and data to the market, so that advertisers can use this data to make the image, the average image of the consumer. Well, we started talking about the victory of the AI in future. Well, it's a long way to go till the AI defeats us altogether, but now we start talking about the virtual influencers and virtual hosts and other buzz notions. So whether the topic of virtual influencers lifts off, or whether the living beings, individuals, will remain, I think that there'll be room for both of them. I mean, both the virtual influencers and the real people, like the metaverses are now the global prevalent trend. Like Microsoft will also migrate to a metaverse model, and others will convert to metaverses also, so that they can integrate the youngest consumers and users. And advertisers make use of that, capitalize on that. Nike, for example, presented a sports ground in one of the metaverses, and with showrooms where gamers can buy their merchandise for cryptocurrency. And, transferring gamers from online to offline requires some special effort, and another company announced that you will be able to buy real goods in their offline stores for SIC tokens and currency. Well, probably virtual influencers will use their avatars to try to modify the behaviors, and different TV channels apply that. Like S7 has made an integrated message, so I can see that this will be a market full of living and virtual influencers. Marina, now we're moving to a sociological topic. There must be a huge generation gap, because I can see data like people responding to questionnaires saying that they're stressed because of the remote or online work. 14% of respondents are under high stress, and 37% experience moderate stress. So what is happening with us humans, and how shall we live on? Tell us, please. What is your take on that? Well, the circumstances have changed radically. In a week's time, we had to learn all scenarios and missions and chores, staying at home. And it took us long to discuss what was coming and happening, whether we would stay in the virtual reality for good or whether we would come back offline. Well, the truth lies somewhere in between, and now we have a blended model. When possible, we go offline, but not 100%. The office spaces are open, but not 100% of employees are back at their working places unless obliged by the employers, and the latter ones become more flexible and agile, trying to match the needs of their employees and potential candidates. So the hybrid model is now considered to be a commonplace one for employers, and having the experience of online services, we keep using that, and we have become quite practical. If I can have several online teleconferences within one day, I will do that. That will save a lot of time and spare me of logistical costs. And definitely we are to look at our other needs, where we are socialites to a large extent, so we need interacting with other people, and employers and companies have to find a proper balance. Now the customer journey has become the main marketologist's tool, and passive analytics and active responses and surveys are needed. So what is sought after is the seamless service. So the digital format, physical and digital blended, will be our reality for future, and that will help further enhance users' experience. Are we not becoming sociophobes? Because I speak with many people, and they tell me that they are less willing to go to the offline environment. They're used to stay at home in their comfortable environment, and they are reluctant to have more contacts. If you go to Moscow's restaurants, they teem with people. They're chock full. Many other people that are socialites, they would kind of be happy, and those corporate feasts and activities were met with acclaim, because isolation would not improve mental health.
Well-being, управление стрессом и развитие креативности. Вот все-таки понятно.
So you are a professional in managing the stress and the uncertainty, and now we are living in a world plunged in anxiety, and the level of anxiety has gone considerably up. What advice can you offer us? You are right, the mental health has become the second victim, has fallen the second victim to the pandemic. And the medical statistics prove that, like Ipsos survey last year showed that 45% of people notice that their mental health has deteriorated. And each fourth person responded that it deteriorated since the onset of 2021, and we hear about burnouts of employees that costs a lot to the employees themselves and the businesses, because the churn is on the rise and the performance of companies is impacted, and American doctors warn that there are some alarming signs that there is a growing number of suicides among teenagers, and definitely we shall heed that. We must heed that, because the world has become much more stressful, and there are many more stressors now, and the remote work is one of them. At the start of the pandemic, when we had worries about our health, people were also afraid to lose their livelihoods, and definitely that gives rise to anxiety, and less intense social contacts also have a toll on the mental health. People are in low spirits, they are depressed, they are in doldrums, and the point is that now it is widely discussed. The talk is thick everywhere, and I hope that we will also tackle the mental health, not only the physical. What can the employers do to help their workers? You know, the well-being programs would be handy, and the volunteering, social well-being have become new trends, new emerging trends, and the corporate culture should become more friendly towards employees. We cannot invite a yoga coach and compel the employees work extra hours. First, we should learn to respect their health and their free time, and we should try to convince them to lead healthier lifestyles. So the well-being programs aim at that. You know, I just have thought that in the national media group, as part of our corporate responsibility, we have created a chatbot for adolescents, for teenagers, and they can turn there, and we have 14,000 subscribers now, and teenagers can text to the chatbot that will either support them or route them to someone that is more competent and capable of help. Probably the employers, companies should also think of this hybrid tool, as mass tools require a high level of automation. But what about hybrids, like libraries and chatbots and something else? And back in 2020, we launched a Telegram channel. We called it OMD Like Home, and it is on because people exchange news and share their credentials and impressions. I think it is a sound idea. And personnel support programs with shrinks and psychologists. And you can turn to them. And that probably adds some responsibility to the personal manager, to the top managers. Like, imagine that, well, you drop out in a telecom environment. That also is quite stressful. And we can get inspiration
Вот очень важно не терять эту связь корпоративную между сотрудником, брендом компании. Мы вот у себя запустили...
Derived from the corporate alignment and cohesion of ours, and we have launched our own company application, and we see it becoming more popular. And we have been using the medical insurance policies, and if an employee falls ill, well, they receive support and help is pledged to them, and that definitely is reassuring to them because they believe that they have been working in the proper place, and that adds certainty to their mood. Like people probably feel more comfortable at home. They don't want to come back to the offline office. But for many employees this is good. We cannot oblige some people to come back to office because they say that now we have a brand new quality of life. Many workers of ours spend 3 to 4 hours commuting. Now they spend it dealing with their children and family members. Well, I hope, that it's going to be a good step forward in corporate culture. Well, the employees see this convenience, but at the same time, they are not aware that they lost something like the informal talks and chats by the water cooler, and now many of them are kind of siloed, isolated, like social intercourse would help start new projects and become ingenious. And now we have been moving to the hybrid model, to the blended model, but still we should not be oblivious of the benefits of the offline interaction for the sake of business performance, new ideas and new fresh perspectives. And the burnout happens because we often cannot see people offline. And now we oblige the line managers to organize one-to-one meetings with their subordinates, and all of that would be characteristic of the new normal. And we also should reinforce the positive manifestations that we see, because offline meetings were in the past stressful, and online. With respect to online meetings, we can see better decision making and better productivity, and we don't waste a lot of time for small talks at meetings and video conferences, because people are much more comfortable online. So the 3 words that characterize the hybrid format of business: autonomy, speed, flexibility. Marina. For me, these are convenience, speed, and empathy. Well, it is hard to invent something new, but I would say it's timeliness, efficiency, and ownership and participation. So we have managed it into our timeline, although our topic would enable us to go on for hours. We all agree that this hybrid blended mode of work and life and our routines has arrived. It is more or less convenient and comfortable. It has its own risks and limitations, but also benefits, but we are to adapt to it. because this is the way we will live, and we should stay effective and efficient and tranquil and definitely as happy as possible. So I wish all of you health and happiness. So my final wishes, my concluding remarks are about the wishes of best health, of good health. I thank the panelists. Thank you for attending. Thank you for being here offline. Goodbye.